If you found the home you love and your heart is set, there's no time to wait because it is time for you to make an offer on that house. So let's talk about this. The closing process is really exciting. You're ready to bring your home search to an end. You're so close to returning to normalcy. However, you have two milestones ahead of you. You have to get your offer accepted, and your financing needs to be fully approved from underwriting. Now, if you're working with a professional loan officer, your financing shouldn't be an issue. So the only thing is left is getting your offer accepted. So how can you make certain that you get your offer accepted, especially during these times when homes have multiple offers? You may be wondering if you should stop searching for other homes, or should you have a backup home ready to go? And lastly, how can you back out of an offer? Let's just say, for example, you find a better home that you like. So before we begin, watch until the end of this video because I'm going to give you several free gifts that will help you lock in the perfect home and beat out other buyers without having to outbid them or giving in to unfavorable conditions. There are 6 steps to getting the keys to your new home. So I've created 6 videos to cover each step so you enter this market prepared and able to get the home you love. My name's Jake. I'm a professional mortgage loan officer and home loan expert. I also invest in real estate. You're on the 4th video of the series at step number 4. So let's start with how many offers you should make. A lot of homes right now are getting multiple offers. And as much as I'm going to show you how to pull all the stops to win the home you love, you still have to be intentional. And part of being intentional is knowing what is par for the course. I'd rather you be prepared and planning to make a couple offers so you have leverage and options rather than being forced to make last minute decisions that are driven by impulse and emotions, right? Homes these days are selling in days, if not the very afternoon it's listed. You may have checked all the boxes, communicated brilliantly with the listing agent, yet another buyer just had proper guidance and was earlier in the process, and because of that, they're further along, they get the offer. And that's why a good realtor will prepare you for this, and you'll have 2 or 3 homes that, if you had all the time and money in the world, you would just buy and live in all 3. Now, that leads us naturally into the next question. Can you back out of an offer? Listen carefully. You, as the buyer, will have several opportunities to back out, as will your seller. However, as you move forward with the offer, you'll have fewer opportunities to back out and you'll have more skin in the game. So unless you're set on a home where if this offer gets accepted, you'd be jumping up and down, don't put an offer on that home. It's a clear sign that home is not the right fit and you'll thank yourself for continuing to be patient. As you make an offer, what you'll do is place what is called an earnest money deposit. And think of this deposit like the ink of your signature on the agreement. This deposit can be between 1% to 3% of the sales price, and it's often kept with your realtor. So as you make an offer, you're extending the deposit as well. Most sellers will accept your offer within 24 to 48 hours. If your realtor is a professional, they'll put a contingency that states the offer must have a response within a certain window of time. Because of the amount of effort going into listing and selling a home, you'll likely get an answer as soon as possible. Now, the seller is going to respond with one of 3 ways. Either they're going to accept and move forward as is without any changes, and this is what you want, or they're going to counter your offer and they're going to try to put conditions in your agreement. Or lastly, they're simply going to ignore your offer. So you may be wondering, why would your offer be ignored? Well, your listing agent that you're working with, this is likely not the first home that they've sold, and you're likely not the first buyer that they've received an offer from. And that listing agent realizes by now most certain mortgage companies and most local banks are notorious for taking 2 to 3 months, 60 to 90 days, if not longer, to finance or fully approve a buyer. And this means that seller would have to wait 60 to 90 days to see if they can sell that home to that buyer if the buyer is using those sources for their financing. And when most people are selling a home, they're likely also buying a new home. They may have reasons they cannot wait 90 days. So when that listing agent sees these national mortgage mills that are run by these big corporate banks the listing agent is not going to take the offer seriously because they've already been through that nightmare story. This is things like sellers who they're working with who have waited out the 60 days. They've waited the full 60 days only for the financing to fall through. They took the market or the house off the market, and now the house has to go back on the market. And these are caused by the well-known mortgage companies that do things like compensate their loan officers per application. So simply because a borrower sent an application through with the company and that loan officer received it, that loan officer gets compensated, meaning that loan officer encourages people who are not qualified to apply. They'll even send a pre-approval letter to go along with it. The other thing these mortgage companies will do is they'll tell borrowers they qualify on certain terms, yet they'll change the terms on them. They'll let the borrower get close to the final closing disclosure, which is after the borrower receives the initial loan estimate, which states their payments and the rate that they should have. However, after they pay for an appraisal, after they wait for the borrower to pay for an inspection, they'll give that borrower ruthless terms. So that borrower will now be forced into high interest rates and high payments, or they'll no longer qualify. Their closing disclosure will state different payments and different terms. And this happens because that the mortgage company, the loan officer that they were working with, didn't verify the credit report, or they won't verify the credit report of a borrower up front, and they'll waste everybody weeks of time and thousands of dollars. Keep in mind, it's actually built into their compensation structure at some of these companies where, for example, if a loan officer hits, say, 20 applications a month, they hit their quota. And unless they hit their quota, they're actually off a draw, which is like the company loaning the salary for the loan officer, which is expected to be paid back by applications that are put through. Now remember, if the buyer placed an offer on a home because that mortgage company painted an expectation of qualifying, that buyer is now out the appraisal fee. They're out the inspection fee, and they may even lose their deposit. That's why you need to be certain you're working with a loan officer who is a professional and is trusted. So that's why the mortgage company that is representing the finances for the buyer is one of the first things a listing agent will verify. Second is the loan product. The reality is certain loan products like an FHA loan can be hairy loans that require extensive approval periods. More they take finesse and expertise by the loan officer to get approved. Now, there's nothing wrong with FHA, VA, conventional, renovation loans, or a multitude of other loan products. They can also close quickly and efficiently if the loan officer preparing your loan file knows the loan programs through and through. And that's why I'll work with you and explain your options with each loan program. Now, lastly, you may be beat out by cash or another mortgage company that, again, just prepared their borrower and they closed in a relatively quick period of time. And that's why it's crucial for your realtor to understand what your seller truly wants. You'd be surprised how many sellers would take fewer dollars so they can close in fewer weeks or on certain conditions. And you'd be surprised by how many sellers select an offer simply because it speaks to a hidden need, and how many offers get denied because the seller's needs are being ignored. Again, this is up to your realtor to negotiate and uncover. So what happens now that you've placed an offer? There's three things that can happen, okay? Just a quick recap. Your offer can be accepted, can be countered, or it can be ignored. And you can pull your offer without any harm up until the point your seller accepts. So if you're working with a gifted realtor, they'll be working with your listing agent to avoid a multiple offer scenario. It's win-win for everybody. And this often, however, includes a time limit contingency in the contract. So this is your realtor protecting you. This is a reasonable amount of time that a seller would have to review the agreement and feel good about taking their home off the market. However, this gives you as the buyer certainty of a quick response. So again, it's a win-win. So once this offer gets accepted, your earnest money deposit is committed, and your loan officer will send your file to underwriting, and you'll order an appraisal. And congratulations, you'll be moving forward with the sales transaction. The only reason the deal would fall through now is if you're unable to get financing, which, if you work with the right loan officer, won't be an issue. Or an inspection turns up an issue, which a strong realtor would have likely identified ahead of time as a potential concern. So again, this also shouldn't be an issue. So because you've watched this video to the end, I've got one last bonus gift for you. When you're working with the right team, we're going to do everything we can to make certain that you get the home you love. Now, a lot of realtors will write up a generic purchase agreement, while a strong realtor and loan officer team will work together to create a custom purchase agreement. And they won't stop there. We're going to go to war on your behalf against every other offer and buyer to get your offer accepted. And one of those ways is to fight with love, and is to draft what's called a love letter. And this love letter is going to contain exactly why the seller should sell the home to you. Remember when we said your realtor will find out what your seller truly wants? And remember how we said that many sellers would love a fast, smooth closing with no surprises, and how the listing agent will verify the source of financing? So we're going to draft this letter to make certain that your seller is completely blown away and knows they're dealing with a well-prepared borrower who's done their homework and is excited about the process. Sellers want this to be a fun and exciting process as well. And just like you may be, they're moving on to bigger, better things. They want this home off their hands without any surprises or setbacks, let alone putting the house back on the market. So all you have to do to get your love letter is go to mortgageindustrategy.com/prepare, where you'll see multiple examples and where you'll get the secrets of home buying, checklists, video notes from the series, so you can be certain you're making a smart and well-educated decision in buying your next home. Once you sign up, and while you're waiting for me to get that to you, watch the next video in the series. Let me walk you through the painful, counterintuitive, yet little-known ways buyers lose their homes when they're at the last stretch and they've done everything up to this point correctly. Avoid wasting weeks of effort, thousands of dollars in the home you love. Watch the next video to make certain the home you put under contract is the home you love and you get the keys. You'll find access to all of this and more in the description below. You'll visit mortgageindustrategy.com/prepare and simply enter your name and email so I know where to send your love letter template, your free gifts, guides, and information to support you in making this big investment successful. I'll see you in the next video.